Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. Today's video is about the starting 11 with the most penalties scored. Today's formation for a third video running is 4-3-3 with an attacking midfielder, also known as the cam position. Reminder everyone, we're trying to reach 1000 subscribers by the end of 2025, so please help us in achieving that goal. Make sure to subscribe, turn notifications on, and comment if you have any questions. Starting with the goalkeeper position. And if you've been watching the videos, you're probably familiar with this player when it comes to goal scoring related videos and it's a goalkeeper mentioned. And yes, you are indeed correct if you said former Brazilian and Sao Paulo keeper Rogério Ceni. Rogério Ceni scored 69 penalties out of 75 career penalties, which is a pretty solid return, making him the keeper of the most penalties scored at 69. At right back is former Burnley and Luton defender Graham Alexander, who manages Bradford currently. Graham Alexander scored 77 penalties in his career out of 82, only missing 5 penalties, so he takes the right back position with 77 penalties scored. At right centre back is Sergio Ramos, who has the second least amount of penalties scored in this team with 34. He really wasn't a penalty taker until it became the later end of his career, so it can explain his little amount of penalties compared to the majority of others in this team. He missed 5 out of 39, and 2 of them came in one night against Jan Sommer on international duty. He actually scored his previous 25 penalties before that as well. Ramos scored 34 penalties in his entire career so far, and could increase due to not being retired. At left centre back is former Barcelona and Dutch legend Ronald Koeman. Ronald Koeman, who has the second most penalties scored in history for the time being, scored 113 penalties in his career out of 120, only missing 7. Another excellent conversion, so he takes the left centre back position of 113 penalties scored. Completing the back line at the left back position is former Brighton left back in 1919. Yes, I know that's a long way back, but he is the left back with the most penalties scored according to data. But he does have the lowest amount in this starting 11, with 32 penalties. Now, unfortunately due to how far back the dates go, I have no clue what he even looks like, and there seems to be no images of him of how many penalties he may have actually missed as well. So all I can say about him is that he scored 32 penalties and is in the starting 11. Moving on to the midfield. In the right central midfield is former Chelsea and England legend Frank Lampard. Lampard scored 61 penalties out of 72, missing 11, which is quite a fair few amount missed. But when you take so many penalties, you're bound to miss a couple. But regardless, 61 penalties is still a lot, and he is in fact second for most penalties scored in Premier League history, so he takes the right central midfield position with 61 penalties scored. In the left central midfield is former Lampard international teammate and Liverpool legend, you've probably guessed it by now, and you're correct if you said Steven Gerrard. Gerrard scored 46 penalties out of 55 in his entire career. He also missed a fair few amount, but 46 penalties out of 55 is still good, and he was often reliable from the spot for Liverpool, so he takes the left central midfield role with 46 penalties scored. Completing the midfield in the cam position is former Italian and Juventus legend, who arguably has the saddest and most famous penalty miss, Roberto Baggio. His penalty miss that I was talking about came in a World Cup final and is apparently still affecting him to this day. The man who died while standing is what they quote him as. Regardless, he was still a good penalty taker. He scored 101 penalties out of 119, missing in total 18. So Baggio takes the cam position with 101 penalties scored. Moving on to the attack, and starting with the striker position, is former Swedish and AC Milan legend Zlatan Ibrahimovic, who scored 87 penalties, but did miss a fair few amount, missing 17. Regardless, 87 penalties out of 104 is still good, because in the end of the day, penalties aren't as easy as everyone thinks. In the right wing position is the player who has the third most penalties scored so far, one behind second place, Koeman, but also has the second most penalties missed in this starting 11 and in history. It's Lionel Messi, who scored 112 penalties and missed 32. So, scoring 112 out of 143, that's quite a fair few amount missed, but that's still a good amount of penalties scored. Messi wasn't really known as a good penalty taker until, if you can remember, during the World Cup period. That's when I can start remembering where Messi became reliable from the penalty spot. Because other than that, I was never quite confident of Messi stepping up. But he did change his technique, and it has proved to work out for him, not missing many since the World Cup era. In the left wing position, completing the attack and starting 11, is the player who scored the most penalties in history, but has also missed the most. You probably know who it is, and yes, you are right if you said Cristiano Ronaldo, who scored 175 penalties and missed 33, so one more than Messi. 175 out of 208. I don't care if he's missed the most in history. For me, he's the best penalty taker ever. And if it came down to a player taking a penalty to save my life, I'm picking Ronaldo. So he takes the striker position over 170, no, not striker, left wing position. Apologies, everyone. He takes the left wing position over 175 penalties scored. The honourable mentions player is former Roma and Italian legend, a man who was a one-man club. You probably know who I'm on about, and yes, you are correct if you said Totti. Totti scored 86 penalties out of 106, missing 20. He did miss a fair few amount, like others in the starting 11, but the fact he scored 86 out of 106 shows he was reliable, so he therefore takes the honourable mentions player, as he was just one behind the striker in the starting 11, Ibrahimovic. The manager in the starting 11. Reminder, for any of you that may not know, but the manager can't be a player in the starting 11. So for Koeman, for example, he would be the manager, but he's in the starting 11, so therefore he can't be both manager and player. So the next best suited person takes the manager's spot. And in today's video, the manager that scored the most penalties was Robin van Persie, with 39 penalties scored and 7 missed. He currently manages Feyenoord, for those of you that don't know. Now, it's that time of the video again, the Champions League predictions. And you probably know by now, I'm very picky and harsh if a team can win the Champions League. But I just want to remind you though, the Champions League, there's no time for errors. There's no time to try and fix the team up. Once you get into the knockout stages, you have to be fully prepared. You have the group stages to prepare. We saw with PSG this year. But in the knockout stages, you cannot make mistakes. We've seen from PSG and Real Madrid this season that superstar teams don't always work out. And for me, this starting 11 has too many superstars. And the midfield would be too attacking. I think it'd get carved open. But individual quality is way too much. Prime Messi, prime Ronaldo, prime Ibrahimovic, prime Gerrard, prime Lampard. I could go on. I think they'll win a lot of games unconvincingly, and in my opinion, will reach the semis or maybe even final. But for me, the fullbacks are the main reason why they won't reach the finals. I still don't think they'd win it even if they had amazing fullbacks because of how unbalanced the team is. They just won't win it for me. I do think this team gets knocked out in the semi-finals personally, like I said, due to the fullbacks, but individual quality carries them to the semi-finals. Let me know what you guys think. Do you agree with my predictions? Am I being too harsh or am I correct about the Champions League being difficult to win? Let me know in the comment down below. Reminder everyone, we're trying to reach 1,000 subscribers by the end of 2025, so if you haven't subscribed, please help us in reaching that goal. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to let me know in the comments down below. That's the end of the video today. Thank you for watching.